The first question is from an anonymous. Hi Ajahn, thank you for this retreat. Regarding my faith and practice, I noticed that I have a dip in practice every 3 to 4 weeks. I will be inspired by the path and the practice for 4 weeks, then I will feel life is meaningless. I imagine I will end up having stage 4 cancer and die tomorrow. I asked myself, why do I need to continue with this right livelihood if sickness and death is coming tomorrow? I will take a break from Dhamma work and sutta reading completely. This pattern has occurred for the past 6 months. May I seek your guidance? Thank you.
So this is establishing one's mind incorrectly. So that you said you have effort in your practice for 3 to 4 weeks. That is good. But then to imagine about sickness and death, that is contemplating sickness and death. So this is the contemplation of death. But it's done incorrectly because there's delusion that comes up. If you think that, well, if I die, then so what should I do then? Or why bother doing anything? Then that's not correct. Dhamma practitioners may fall into this type of thinking or wrongly establishing their mind in this way. For Venerable Ajahn Anan himself, he said that there was one point when he did contemplate on death, and it was the chore time in the monastery, and he was thinking about death, that if he died, he had to die, then why bother sweeping the leaves in the monastery because he has to die. So he just sat there indifferently doing nothing. But then the wisdom arose that this is incorrect, this is not right. This is a form of tinamita, sloth and torpor. It's a form of delusion, a form of depression as well, and is incorrect. So to contemplate on death, then one's mind should be have more determination in order to build goodness. One has more determination to meditate, to chant, to bhavana, to develop their minds. They really want to find and develop more knowledge in the Dhamma, develop more goodness. So it's not that one does nothing. They're thinking that, well, what if I die? But if you really had to die, so if you think in this way, then what are you going to eat? You won't build any goodness. And if one day you really do get sick and die, then you need to have built a lot of mindfulness and samadhi. And that is the correct way or correct action that you have to take. You don't just wait there for sickness and death to come to you. That's not reflecting on it correctly. You should see the danger in this and in the world, and you bring up more effort in order to build goodness.
This question is from an anonymous. Firstly, I would ask for forgiveness from Ajahn Anan as I am unable to practice well during this retreat because I am unwell post-COVID. However, this morning's talk by Ajahn Anan was so profound. I was attentive to the fact that everything that arises ceases away, leading to Brahmin Godanya's enlightenment. I listened right to the end without any bodily discomfort, and for a moment I thought I had recovered, but that's not so. Listening to the Dhamma was a wonderful respite from my condition. For the benefit of all of us, I seek Ajahn's advice on how to address pain or bodily discomfort during sickness. In addition to my earlier question on how to address illnesses, I am curious as to how Ajahn Chah view and manage his prolonged illness. Thank you.
So listening to the Dhamma well can bring up wisdom, and you can bring up different feelings or qualities. There can be peace arising, rapture and samadhi arising from listening to this Dhamma well. The mind can, or at that time, the mind was able to separate from feelings. And if one has a lot of rapture and peace there, then one can separate out from feelings or go above the feelings. So sometimes it can be that it's the body that sort of makes that sickness, or listening to the Dhamma, then the sickness is alleviated, and that's possible as well. But listening to the Dhamma, you can feel a sense of ease, and the mind may not hold on to those feelings like usual. And there's feelings of rapture and peace and happiness arising in the mind. But after that, then one goes back to being holding on to those feelings again. One hasn't yet separated out the feelings, just seeing it as simply being feelings. And so when one has that rapture and samadhi arise, and one can do that, separate that out. And so we have to train in developing good samadhi, be able to separate out the feelings from the mind. And even if in the beginning we only can do this a bit, we can develop our samadhi enough that we can separate out the feelings sometimes, but at other times we can't. That's still good. We just keep training in this. For Venerable Ajahn Chah, how did he practice with his sickness? He was able to separate out the feeling completely. There was times that when he was sick, that he would go to a branch monastery of Wat Nong Papong, and a very quiet, peaceful place, and he would go into the kuti, the hut, alone for a long time, and maybe 3 days or 5 days in order to overcome his sickness. So he'd go back to Wat Nong Papong after that and say that he was treating his sickness. And so he could use his samadhi in order to treat his sickness. And he was able then to use that samadhi to treat his body. And at the time when he was bedridden for a period of 10 years, he was able to separate out his mind, the feelings out from the body. There was once when a doctor tried to measure Venerable Ajahn Chah's blood pressure with the blood monitor, or with the monitor, and nothing came up on there. They couldn't measure his blood pressure at all. And when they took it off Ajahn Chah and tested it, it worked fine. And so they told him not to disturb Ajahn Chah because he was entered a very high level of samadhi. And this is when he would rest his mind, and this would help him help his body. And so he was then able to last or live for 10 years in that bedridden state. And so for yourselves then, that this Ajahn Chah trained his mind fully, and so for you, you keep training, and one day you'll be able to separate out feelings more and more.
This question is from an anonymous. Dear Ajahn Anan, does the meditator always see a light, as often mentioned as nimittas, if one has good concentration? Anumodana.
And so in Dhamma practice, or when one develops more peace, calm in the mind, some practitioners will get nimittas or light arising. And it's like that when one closes one's eyes, then it feels bright. But if one opens it, then it's normal. One doesn't see that light. It feels dark inside still. Or it can be one closes one's eyes and feels like it's light around one. So we call this opassa. And one can get deluded in this as a form of defilement, that one sees this as being the path and fruits of Nibbana. So it is possible that this light arises in the mind when one has peace or samadhi arising. But not everyone will get this. And some people will feel kind of small or bad that they don't get this. They don't get this light or nimitta. Some people, they feel like the people who have those lights in their practice, and they're better than them. And maybe they feel like, oh, I've been practicing a long time and I haven't seen any lights. Some monks may feel this way. They might hear lay people tell of, oh, they were able to see this or see this light, and may feel quite bad that, oh, they've been practicing for many years now and didn't see any light at all. But don't be deluded in this point. There was once back then where monks were sort of not really arguing, but maybe debating more, or discussion came up, and one, they'd say this monk was able to see this light, and that other monk wasn't able to. And so one day, Venerable Ajahn Chah gave a talk saying that, why do you want to see lights? If you want to see them, you can go to the city, the village, see them in the houses. They're full of lights. And so he said it in this way so that the monks wouldn't get deluded about this. He said there's lots of lights in the cities and the houses. So if we do see lights, then we see it as being impermanent. If we don't see lights in the practice, then we also see it as being impermanent. So we're not careless on this point. And the correct path is to develop good samadhi and then contemplate the body as being impermanent, unsatisfactory, and not self. And then this is where light arises. So whether some people get lights in their meditation, they see it, and some people don't get it, don't be deluded in this, because the light that we are aspiring for is the light of wisdom that arises in our heart. And this is something that is much better than those lights or those nimittas.
This last question is from an anonymous. Dear Luang Por Anan, I am contemplating heavenly realms to aim for future lives where I can continue practicing the Dhamma. In the prior life of the Buddha, he resided in Dusita heaven, and Maitreya, the future Buddha, is also currently in Dusita. However, I read that there are 2 higher heaven realms, and Mara resides in the highest heaven realm. Instead of residing in the higher heavens like Mara, why do Bodhisattvas choose Dusita heaven? And why is Dusita heaven special? Thank you for your teachings.
So we know that the Tusita heaven realm is the abode of the great, or the Maha Bodhisattva, the one who has a full parami, spiritual perfections, and in the next birth will become enlightened for certain. And this Tusita realm is also for the Bodhisattvas who have not yet received a prediction from a past Buddha. There's also many of the Devas, the divine beings that have attained to Sotapanna and or Sakadagami, the first two stages of enlightenment. And there's also those that have made a great amount of merit by developing goodness through the practice of dana, sila, and bhavana. So these are in this Tusita heaven realm as well. So they have a lot of merit, and their lifespan is in the Tusita heaven realm is 4,000 divine years. And so enjoying that happiness, and from there, and then they'll continue on then after to keep building parami. The two heavenly realms above that, the devas that delight in creation, nimanarati, and the devas that will power over the creation of others, the paranimitta vasawati. These have longer lifespans than the Tusita heavenly realm. And so the Tusita realm is a good realm for those beings that I've just mentioned. And they're one that they're able to, and so the ones in Tusita heavenly realm, they can go into samadhi, establish their minds to be reborn, and they will do that in order to build parami further in the next birth. But for the other realms, they have to wait until their lifespan has ended, and then they can be reborn. So this is then those who want to be reborn in this Tusita realm because of this. And so in this realm, they all are very good beings. They're very interested in the Dhamma, very interested and have a lot of goodness. They're not interested in things outside of this, and they have a lot of brightness. And so those who want to be reborn in the Tusita heavenly realm have to build a lot of dana, sila, and bhavana, or even attaining to the noble attainments still can be reborn in the Tusita heavenly realm. So the heavenly realms above that, the two realms above that, that is those who have jhana. Usually those who have jhana in the current life, they're reborn in the Brahma realms. But in this case, these are beings that have been able to attain to jhana, but they die outside of that jhana, and so they're not reborn in the Brahma realms, but instead in these two heavenly realms. And so here they are able to enjoy a lot of happiness that they can create. They can create what they want and enjoy the happiness from that thing that they like or they enjoy. And this comes from the result of their samadhi and merit that they've built. And so this is also lasting for a very long time because of that samadhi that they've built. So those that want to build parami will try to go to the Tusita realm, heavenly realm. There's the Bodhisattvas that have a prediction, or have received a prediction, and those that haven't received the prediction, and the Aryas, that those noble beings I mentioned, and those who have a lot of dana, sila, and bhavana. And so they're able then later to keep building their parami as well. So inside the Tusita heavenly realm, it's also separated into 4 sections as such, that the inner one is for the ones who've attained the Aryas, like the Sotapannas and Sakadagamis there, that have been reborn there. The second is for the Niyata Bodhisattva, the Bodhisattvas who've received a prediction, and so they have a very unique merit that they've made. And the Aniyata Bodhisattva is another section, that those Bodhisattvas that have not yet received a prediction. And the fourth section as such is for those of great merit, those who have built a lot of merit and goodness and practiced a lot of developing their mind, meditation, the kammatthana. And so those that have built a lot of merit, where they're helping the Buddha Sasana, helping society, maybe building schools, helping children, spreading the Dhamma. So all this is very high merit that they've built. And those as well that having also built their practice as well, their bhavana, their meditation, being very determined in it, and they have a, you could say, superior inner strength compared to others, that strength of having done dana, sila, and bhavana. So this is why they want to be reborn in this two-seater heavenly realm, and they continue on. They can continue on building their parami. So if you want to be reborn there, then you have to keep continually building merit and goodness to a high level.